90 million passengers a year, more people than the population of Germany, all moving through a single complex of runways, terminals, and glass corridors shimmering under the desert sun. Dubai International Airport, DXB, is not just busy. It is the global epicenter of air travel. Every 3 minutes, a wide-body jet, often an Airbus A380, lands or departs. The world's longest flights touch down alongside private jets worth hundreds of millions. Connections happen here that tie together continents. East meets west, and the stopover becomes the center of gravity for the aviation world. But this wasn't done overnight. We need to rewind. Dubai wasn't always a city of skyscrapers and impossible ambitions. In 1960, its airport was nothing more than a strip of asphalt cut into desert sand, a single runway with a terminal barely more than a building. It served a small trading port, a place with oil revenues just starting to trickle in, and an uncertain future. What Dubai had wasn't wealth, it was vision. Fast forward to 6 decades and the DXB has indeed become one of the busiest airports in the world. But its days might be over. The DXB might be shutting down permanently. Why? Because of the very reason it became so successful. Leaders in Dubai back in the day knew geography was their hidden advantage. Nestled between Europe, Africa, and Asia, within reach of 2/3 of the world's population, Dubai was positioned to turn itself into aviation's most important crossroad. That vision came to life in stages. First expansions in the 1970s and 1980s. Then, a bold leap in the 1990s, when Emirates Airlines began growing from a modest carrier into an aviation giant. Terminal 3 opened in 2008, at the time the largest building in the world by floor space, dedicated almost entirely to Emirates' fleet. The airport evolved from a regional stopover into a machine of global connectivity, eventually surpassing London, Atlanta, and Beijing to become the world's busiest international hub. The numbers defy belief. At its peak, DXB contributed roughly 13% of Dubai's GDP. Over 90 airlines operate here, connecting more than 240 destinations across 6 continents. For millions of travelers, whether business executives, backpackers, or families, DXB became more than an airport. It became the layover capital of the planet, a place where the world intersected under one roof. But every triumph has its own failures. Success, when left unchecked, becomes its own trap. Today, DXB is suffocating under the weight of its own glory. The very thing that built Dubai into a global city, its airport, has now become boxed in by the metropolis it created. Look at the satellite images. Neighborhoods press up against perimeter fences. Highways twist around runways like knots of steel. Skyscrapers climb dangerously close to flight paths. Expansion, once the airport's weapon, is no longer possible. The city has grown too tight, the space too constrained. Inside the terminals, the story is the same. During peak seasons, delays stack up not because of storms or strikes, but because physics has no mercy. You can only land so many planes on 2 parallel runways hemmed in by concrete. You can only process so many passengers through terminals already stretched beyond design. At times, moving another million people feels less like an achievement and more like balancing on the edge of collapse. And while Dubai pushes its infrastructure to the limit, rivals aren't sitting still. Doha's Hamad International opened gleaming new expansions, designed not just for volume but for luxury and efficiency. Istanbul's new mega airport already boasts a theoretical capacity for 200 million passengers a year. And Saudi Arabia has announced plans for King Salman International, designed to handle up to 185 million travelers annually, while Riyadh Air positions itself as another Gulf giant. In aviation, standing still is falling behind. And for the first time, DXB looks less like an unstoppable juggernaut and more like a colossus at risk of stagnation. There's another factor: time. By 2050, every runway, every terminal, every jet bridge at DXB will have surpassed its intended lifespan. To keep up, Dubai would need to embark on years of disruptive renovations. Imagine ripping up runways while 90 million annual passengers still depend on the facility. Imagine closing terminals in a city where the airport isn't just infrastructure, it's oxygen. That scenario isn't just risky, it borders on impossible. And so Dubai's leaders began facing a brutal truth. Incremental upgrades, however costly, would never deliver the future. They would only prolong the present. And prolonging the present in aviation is the surest way to lose the future. Because here's the reality. Passengers are growing, competition is rising, and the limits of physics don't bend to ambition. The question was never whether DXB would hit its ceiling. It was always when. The when is now. Dubai understood that to maintain its dominance, it couldn't polish the crown jewel. It had to forge a new one. The decision wasn't to renovate or expand. It was to walk away from the very engine of its success, to dismantle the heart of its own city, and to replace it with something so audacious it borders on science fiction. And that's where the story turns. 30 miles south of downtown Dubai, rising from the desert, a new chapter of aviation is being written. Its name? Al Maktoum International, or as most call it, DWC. This is not a supplement to DXB. This is its successor. An airport designed to be 5 times larger. A facility envisioned to move 260 million passengers a year. To put that in perspective, that's like every single person in the United States passing through one airport annually. The scale alone just reshapes imagination. It's a gamble that would put DXB permanently on the ground, as its successor is poised to become the biggest and largest airport ever created in the history of mankind. But one question remains. Can the DWC really become a suitable replacement for the historic DXB? 260 million passengers every single year. It is more than double what any airport on Earth has ever attempted. In fact, when complete, DWC will not just be an airport, it will be the gravitational center of global aviation. Where DXB had 2 parallel runways, DWC will have 5. Not staggered, not secondary, but aligned for simultaneous operations. At peak capacity, this system could support 400 aircraft movements per hour. A choreography of takeoffs and landings so dense, it would make today's busiest airports look like provincial airstrips. 2 central terminals will rise at the core, each with 7 concourses branching outward like the wings of a colossal steel butterfly. Together, they will provide over 400 gates, including dozens large enough to handle super jumbos like the A380 and whatever aircraft the future brings. Underground, high-speed people movers will glide passengers between gates, lounges, and shopping districts. Above ground, automated trolleys will move baggage with a precision that makes lost luggage nearly obsolete. But what makes DWC revolutionary is not just size. Size alone is brute force. The real leap lies in intelligence. At DWC, every process is being redesigned for speed, efficiency, and seamless integration. Traditional passport checks will vanish. Instead, biometric corridors will scan faces in seconds, verifying identity without lines, stamps, or paperwork. Security, immigration, boarding, all compressed into frictionless movements, invisible to the traveler but constantly monitored by AI systems working in the background. Baggage will be handled by robotic conveyors linked to a digital twin of the airport, a real-time virtual model that tracks every suitcase, every cargo container, every passenger, and every plane. If a delay threatens to cascade, the system will predict it before it happens and reroute traffic automatically. The airport itself will operate like a brain, anticipating problems and solving them before human staff even notice. This level of automation isn't gimmickry, it's necessity. Moving 260 million people annually cannot be done with manual checks and human improvisation. Only predictive systems operating on billions of data points can keep the flows smooth. And while the airport's passenger systems are revolutionary, its cargo operations may be even more transformative. DWC is being built directly adjacent to Jebel Ali Port, the 9th busiest container port in the world. For the first time, sea and air logistics will merge into a single integrated hub. Imagine a cargo ship docking in the morning, its containers unloaded directly onto trucks that drive a few kilometers into the airport, where cargo planes stand waiting. Engines, electronics, perishable goods, all transferred from sea to air in hours rather than days. For airlines like Emirates Sky Cargo, this is a strategic weapon. An engine shipped from Europe can arrive by sea and be installed on a jet the very same day. Global supply chains, which today are often bottlenecked by inefficiencies between ports and airports, will find in Dubai something closer to teleportation. But DWC isn't just about capacity and logistics. It is about longevity. Every runway, every terminal, every energy system is being designed for the next century. That means sustainability isn't a side note. It's a structural principle. Solar panels will cover over 60% of rooftop space. Recycled materials will form much of the building foundations. AI-controlled ventilation and lighting systems will minimize energy waste. Dubai has pledged net zero operations for the new airport. And while net zero has become a cliché in many mega projects, here it is an existential necessity. An airport designed to serve until 2100 cannot afford to be outdated by 2050 climate standards. It is ambition, wrapped in pragmatism. Build once, build right, build for a century. Critics ask, why not simply expand DXB? Why spend $35 billion on a replacement when the world's busiest airport already exists? The answer lies in strategy. Expanding DXB is no longer expansion. It is surgery on a beating heart. Every new runway would require demolishing neighborhoods. Every new terminal would paralyze existing operations. Dubai calculated the costs, not just financial, but reputational, and realized that clinging to DXB was clinging to decline. Instead, they chose reinvention. In aviation, where rivals are sprinting forward, half measures are the surest path to irrelevance. DWC is not just a new airport. It is a message. Dubai will not merely compete. It will redefine the playing field. Of course, ambition must meet reality. Moving an entire city's lifeline from one facility to another is not just construction. It is choreography at the scale of nations. The transition begins slowly. Cargo operations will shift first, with Emirates Sky Cargo relocating to DWC in the early 2030s. This allows systems to be tested on packages before people. Then, as terminals open and passenger capacity ramps up, low-cost carriers and regional flights will move. Finally, between 2035 and 2040, the crescendo, Emirates itself, the airline that built DXB into a legend, will move its entire fleet of over 250 aircraft, staff, ground services, catering, and maintenance to its new home. It is a ballet of logistics. Imagine teaching tens of thousands of employees new systems, relocating equipment, retraining crews, all while ensuring flights never stop. This is why Dubai plans to link DXB and DWC with a high-speed rail system, moving passengers between them in under 45 minutes. During the transition, both airports will operate in tandem, easing the shock of relocation. And then comes the final twist, DXB itself. What happens to the 2,000 hectares of prime urban land once the last flight departs? Dubai already has an answer. DXB will be reborn as DXB City, a transformation of runways into neighborhoods, hangars into tech hubs, terminals into cultural centers. The iconic control tower will remain, not as an operational necessity, but as a monument. A reminder of the past, surrounded by parks, housing, and new metro lines stitching together districts long divided by the airport's footprint. Where jets once roared, families will walk shaded streets. Where premium lounges once poured champagne, apartments will rise, some even affordable, in a city notorious for exclusivity. The transition from airport to city is not just urban planning, it is urban alchemy. Still, the risks are staggering. Aviation history is littered with failures. Montreal's Mirabel, built to replace Dorval but left to rot. Berlin-Brandenburg, delayed by a decade. Even Hong Kong's successful move from Kai Tak to Chek Lap Kok came at enormous cost. Dubai is gambling bigger than any of them. It is wagering that technology, money, and sheer willpower can overcome logistics, physics, and Murphy's Law. If it succeeds, DWC will not just be the biggest airport on Earth. It will become the benchmark against which all future airports are judged. If it fails, it risks being remembered as the greatest white elephant of the 21st century. But one truth remains constant. Dubai has done the impossible before. From desert villages to skyscrapers piercing the clouds, from an oil outpost to a global hub, the city has always thrived on turning disbelief into reality. DWC is its boldest act yet, a statement that ambition, when combined with geography and strategy, can reshape the map of the world. And this is why the leap matters. DWC is not merely a replacement for DXB. It is a declaration that the future of global aviation does not belong to those who expand cautiously. It belongs to those who dare to reinvent. And well, history tells us that those nations who dares to reinvent tends to become one of the powerhouses in the world. Stand inside DXB today, and it feels eternal. The terminals pulse with movement, the departure boards flicker with cities from every corner of the globe, and the sheer density of humanity moving through the space makes it hard to imagine silence ever settling here. But silence will come. Every flight, every reunion at arrivals, every last call at departures, it is all now numbered. One day, the lights will dim, the runways will go dark, and the world's busiest international airport will fall quiet. This is not collapse. It is sacrifice. Dubai's decision to walk away from DXB at the peak of its power is perhaps the boldest act of ambition in aviation history. For most cities, airports are sacred infrastructure. Heathrow is synonymous with London. JFK is stitched into the fabric of New York. Narita embodies Tokyo. To dismantle an airport is to dismantle identity. But Dubai has chosen a different path. Where others polish their crown jewels until they crack, Dubai has opted to destroy its own masterpiece, not in defeat, but to make way for something greater. But ambition alone will not make the transition work. Moving 90 million annual passengers from one facility to another is not just urban planning. It is surgery on the circulatory system of a nation. Flights cannot stop. Tourism cannot pause. Cargo cannot be delayed. Every misstep risks billions in lost revenue and reputational damage on a global scale. The choreography will unfold in phases. Cargo will move first, allowing systems at DWC to be stress-tested with packages before people. Then, as terminals rise, low-cost carriers and regional airlines will shift. Finally, the crescendo. Emirates, with its fleet of over 250 aircraft, thousands of crew, and millions of passengers, will move its entire operation. Consider what that entails. New maintenance hangars, new catering facilities, new parking stands for the largest A380 fleet on Earth, tens of thousands of staff retrained on new systems, ground handling equipment relocated, fueling, baggage handling, customs, all transplanted like vital organs into a new body. And yet, during all of this, the show must go on. Flights cannot miss their schedules. A city's economy cannot miss a beat. To smooth the chaos, Dubai plans a high-speed rail link between DXB and DWC, moving passengers in under 45 minutes. For years, both airports will operate side by side, a safety net during the transition. Bags will be checked through regardless of the airport, flights will be coordinated, and passengers will move between hubs without friction. If it works, it will be one of the most seamless airport migrations in history. If it falters, the fallout will be global. And then there is the question of land. 2,000 hectares of prime urban real estate freed in the heart of Dubai. This is not a problem. It is an opportunity. The vision is for DXB City. Runways become boulevards. Terminals become cultural centers and tech campuses. The control tower that once guided millions will stand as a monument in a central plaza. Metro lines will slice through the site, stitching together districts once divided by aviation. Parks and shaded streets will rise where jets once taxied. And perhaps most surprising of all, some of the new housing will be affordable, an almost radical concept in a city known for luxury first. The dirty work comes first, dismantling runways, removing decades of jet fuel residue, recycling millions of tons of concrete. Most cities would hesitate. Dubai sees transformation. In the process, it will not only erase the scars of aviation but reforge them into a new urban heart. But the implications of DWC extend far beyond Dubai. The shift will ripple through the entire global aviation system. Today, if you have flown internationally, there is a strong chance you either passed through Dubai or competed with someone who did for that seat. Multiply that by DWC's projected 260 million capacity, and you begin to see the gravitational pull this single hub will exert on global air travel. Rival hubs are already racing to respond. Doha, Istanbul, Singapore. They are all expanding, wary of what Dubai's leap could mean. Airlines are rethinking route networks, forging new partnerships, calculating whether to embrace DWC or be swallowed by its dominance. Some will win big, securing expanded slots and access to new destinations. Others may find themselves priced out, unable to compete with a hub designed to move more passengers than entire nations. And then there's cargo. When sea and air integrate at the scale DWC and Jebel Ali Port promise, global trade itself may bend toward Dubai. Electronics from East Asia, textiles from South Asia, perishables from Africa, all could move faster and cheaper through this single nexus. The world's supply chains may reroute around a desert city built on ambition. Yet history offers caution. Montreal's Mirabel, conceived as Canada's future hub, now stands abandoned, a monument to overreach. Berlin-Brandenburg became a punchline after a decade of delays. Even Hong Kong's successful move from Kai Tak to Czech Lapkok came with staggering costs and logistical chaos. DWC is larger than all of them combined. The risks are proportional. What if delays pile up? What if costs spiral? What if rival hubs undercut Dubai while it transitions? What if the 260 million target proves fantasy in a changing world where virtual meetings replace flights and climate regulations tighten? These are not small questions. They are existential. But perhaps the most profound risk is not financial or logistical, but emotional. Airports are not just infrastructure. They are places where memories live. For millions, DXB is where journeys began, where families reunited, where dreams took flight. Those memories do not transfer easily to new terminals, however gleaming they may be. When DXB shuts its doors, the world will lose more than an airport. It will lose a piece of shared history, and yet, in the desert south of the city, something extraordinary rises. Al Maktoum International is not just bigger than DXB. It is an audacious declaration that the story of aviation is not finished, that we can still build wonders, that ambition, sustainability, and human connection can coexist at scales never before imagined. At its heart, this is not a story about Dubai alone. It is a story about the nature of progress. Progress demands sacrifice. To reach the future, you must sometimes let go of the past, even when that past is beautiful, successful, beloved. Dubai has chosen to make that leap. If it succeeds, the world will not just have a new airport. It will have a new definition of what is possible in aviation, in urban transformation, in the marriage of ambition and technology. If it fails, the lesson will be just as powerful, that even ambition has limits and even cities built on dreams can stumble. Either way, the world is watching. Not just to see if Dubai can move its airport, but to see if ambition itself can still move mountains, or in this case, sand. So, as DXB counts down to its final flights and as DWC rises from the desert, we are witnessing something rare. The end of one era, the birth of another. The closing of a chapter that built a city, and the opening of one that may reshape the way humanity connects for the next 100 years. Airports are more than steel and concrete. They are gateways to possibility. And sometimes they are symbols of courage. Courage to imagine bigger. Courage to start again. Courage to let go. Dubai has made its choice. The world will soon learn what that choice means.